Hello there, I'm Tom Hoover. Welcome to the reflection video portion of my e-portfolio that chronicles the time I have spent in the Masters of Educational Technology program at Boise State University. For the past 10 years, I have taught high school English to grades 7 through 12 at two of the smallest schools in western Pennsylvania. While there, I have coached the soccer team and directed the school play, advised the junior and senior classes, and become a triathlete, aspiring to run the complete Ironman race at Lake Placid next summer. Throughout all of these endeavors, my wife and two children, Benjamin and Genevieve, have supported me completely. A few years ago, as I pondered what direction to take in my career, I stumbled across Boise State University's Educational Technology program, and I knew at once that it was a perfect fit for me. As a lifelong video gamer, the coursework in virtual world education and educational games and simulations were a strong draw for me. As someone who also wanted to get more into the tech side of things in education, the certificate in school technology coordination was exactly what I was looking for. So here I am, 2.5 years later, towards the very end of the program. Throughout the rest of this video, I will be showing a few representative work samples that demonstrate the development and growth of my understandings of educational technology. In my second semester, I took EdTech 503, Instructional Design. This course gave me my first big epiphany in the program because it showed me how in-depth designing instruction can be. The following slides show part of my Instructional Design Project 2, where I developed a unit plan of instruction to use in my classroom to teach students how to use MLA format. As an education major in my undergrad career, we were given 3 different models of instruction. So during this course, I was blown away to see how many different and very specific strategies there are for different types of learning. One should do different things when teaching declarative knowledge as opposed to a procedure, as opposed to even attitudes. Since taking this course, I've been much more cognizant about what I'm doing in my classroom when we are learning for different types of learning. I'm also much more aware of my audience in my classes as a result of this project. In the front-end analysis, we look in depth at the audience that is going to be teaching and the best ways to reach that audience. As teachers, we often skip this step, thinking just that, I know my students well enough. But it is important to remember that students are different and the different classes are different, and we should direct our instruction towards these individuals. PowerPoint was the main mode of instruction used throughout this unit, but more important than the technology was the selection and design of instructional strategies. This unit went from a one-day shotgun approach to MLA format. The assessments within this unit, as well as the student writings done after receiving this unit of instruction, show that the students have a better understanding of MLA formatting and they retain this information longer, and this has resulted in much less plagiarism. Overall, learning about instructional design has shown me how important it is to plan for every little nuance of instruction in order to have the most successful chances for learning to occur in the students. It shows that everything is equally important. Choosing the instructional design model analyzing the learning context, task, and audience, and up into choosing the proper instructional strategies and evaluations. Every part all works together to ensure effective instruction. EdTech 532, Educational Games and Simulations, was one of the courses I looked forward to taking the most. As someone whose earliest memories include playing Pitfall, Sequest, and even the infamous E.T. on the Atari 2600, I couldn't wait to see how I could apply games to education. My final project for this class involved creating a game that I called The Adventures of Young Beowulf. I've long been interested in combining games and education. I know that I am one of many people that learn their world geography by playing the board game Risk. Creating the game The Adventures of Young Beowulf really began in EdTech 504 when I began learning educational theory. Throughout EdTech 532, we stressed how our games need to be undergirded by theory. And in the course, I created the SSPL theory of learning by combining social constructivism, situated learning, and project-based learning. And it was using these theoretical underpinnings that I tried to base my game. My first goal for this game was to develop reading skills with an authentic text in my students. This game is an interactive fiction, like the classic game Zork, and in it they read the text and they type in commands to make their character do different things. My second goal for this game was to introduce and develop thematic elements of the story Beowulf, namely the leader as protector-provider, the importance of identity, reputation, and loyalty, and the Christian-pagan interaction. This is where the game starts. We start in Beowulf's room with a simple ladder leading down, and it's up to the player to try different things and to interact with the world and figure out what they need to do. This is one way that I tried to have the constructivist theory come through into the game. They have to talk to different people to figure out what to do, what tasks they need to accomplish, and eventually what makes Beowulf a hero. One theme in Beowulf is that to be a good leader, you have to be a good protector and provider of your people. And we can see this playing out in this episode with Haribald. When Beowulf comes across Haribald, he's lying on the ground injured, and when Beowulf goes to help him, Haribald asks him to go and check his traps in the forests and bring him the meat from those traps, or else he'll starve through the winter. It's important in games to make these things that you want the player to learn critical to the outcome of the game. This is a map of the entire world that is encompassed in the Young Adventures of Beowulf. And you can see there are 5 different areas, and each separate area has a different puzzle for Beowulf to solve that relates to the different themes that I want to introduce the students to. I used a program called Inform 7 to write and code the game, The Adventures of Young Beowulf. This is an example of the colon and indent syntax that it uses in the code of the game. In addition to learning how to write a piece of interactive fiction, I also learned some basic computer programming. In the end, I learned a lot more than just how to create a game throughout this project. I really learned what a good project can be for a student. Completing this project required me to learn some natural language coding and some computer programming. It involved lots of creative writing, a ton of problem solving with the code, and I even had to collaborate through some online forums to get some help with the coding. And in the end, it was extremely engaging and very rewarding because I had choice in it it was an authentic project, and I had a real audience to show it to in the end. The next step in my educational career will hopefully be to become a school technology coordinator. And EdTech 505, Evaluation for Educational Technologists, is going to play a key role in my success in that position. 505, we learned about many things with evaluation, creating evaluations, what role the evaluator should play, different evaluation models, collecting and analyzing data, and putting it all together into an evaluation report. I was able to take all things and apply it to one of the programs that we ran at my high school called the Foresight program. And at the end of the evaluation, I was able to present my findings to my principal. With No Child Left Behind ratcheting up the level of proficiency required, the standardized state testing has become more and more important to schools throughout the state. Our school used a program called Foresight in order to predict how students would do on the state test and show deficiencies in specific areas that could then be remediated by the teachers. And theoretically, this remediation would then lead to a higher performance on the state tests. I based my evaluation on two questions. First, do the Foresight exams accurately predict performance on the state test? And two, do teachers use the results of the Foresight exams to plan instruction? In order to answer the first question, I took Foresight predicted scores from students in math and reading and compared it to their actual PSSA score that they got at the end of that year after having taken the Foresight exams. This table shows the results of that comparison. For the second question, I used a semi-structured interview to interview the math and English teachers that gave these exams. I wanted to find out how they used the results in remediating students and planning for future instructions before the state exams. After analyzing the data, I found that the Foresight exams were not very accurate in predicting performance on the state tests, and that teachers did not use the results to plan future instruction. In today's educational climate of high-stakes testing, accountability is becoming more and more important. Evaluation is critical to show that programs are effective, or in this case, that a program is ineffective and it should not be continued. Our district has spent a lot of money and a lot of time giving these Foresight tests to all of our students, and they weren't accurate and they weren't used how they should have been used. So after looking at this as a district, we decided to no longer do the Foresight testing. Throughout my tenure here at Boise State University, I've come to realize the importance of planning on all aspects of instruction. I've also gotten a much firmer grasp on learning theory and how important it is to base your instruction, whether it be a lesson or a game, on that relevant learning theory. I've also received the knowledge and skills necessary for me to become an effective technology leader, which is the next step in my career.